Today on the Daily Dollar, we're talking about China. China is not collapsing within the next month. China, like all nations, have obstacles to overcome, and their future will be determined by the way they handle the challenges in front of them. Is a dark cloud forming? More than likely, yes. Is anything inevitable? No. If you're watching this, you have likely seen the many YouTube thumbnails full of China's imminent collapse. Most of them state an arbitrary number of days until China falls off the edge of the earth, I suppose. It's rather unclear because they never explain why they made that statement to begin with. It reminds me of the 2012 apocalypse we all accidentally survived. That being said, China will need to face obstacles on a scale never seen before, and their future does hang in the balance. They are at a crossroad where every choice matters. Let's take a look at where China currently stands and where it might be going. This is a place for financial news and information. If you like our content, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and keep watching the Daily Dollar. China went from an agrarian society to a manufacturing superpower in a single generation, raising hundreds of millions out of poverty, transforming the entire nation. But a candle that burns twice as hot only lasts half as long. The Chinese Communist Party, or CCP for short, has made it a primary goal to dominate the manufacturing of goods, ensure self-reliance, and to make the world dependent upon it in the process. China offered cheap and abundant labor, alongside a lack of concern for the environment and working conditions. China had no easy button to press, so it offered their people economic growth and increased prosperity in return for control and order. What does this have to do with China's economy, you may be asking? It is to reinforce the concept that no single event or issue is neitly contained nor isolated. This obsession of being a manufacturing superpower led to sectors of the economy being full of excess and waste well beyond their domestic needs. The CCP has pumped a vast amount of resources into their state-owned banks to finance the desires of the central government. This unsurprisingly resulted in an over-financing of certain industries, creating market bubbles in the process. Okay, then what did the government finance? Infrastructure, urban development, and manufacturing capacity. China is now such a large producer, it became dependent on the world economy. China cannot consume all the aluminum, steel, and other commodities it produces. They are now dependent on the global markets. That doesn't sound like a bad thing though. Exports are a good thing for an economy, right? Yes, until it isn't. When the global economy grows, China grows even faster. When the global economy contracts, China should contract more severely. They need the global market to consume everything they make or face layoffs and bankruptcies at home. In 2008, China got around the financial crisis through a massive domestic infrastructure investment. Well, can't they do it again? Possibly, but unlikely. Once you already have high-speed rail, highways, energy grids, air and seaports, and all the other necessities taken care of, building more will either result in no value added or an operational and maintenance loss from excess supply. Once you have already built this infrastructure, building more doesn't provide more value. China needs the world to consume its products because it has too much excess capacity, and it is unclear how much they could invest internally in an economic slowdown. This happened in the United States after World War II. It resulted in factories shutting down and massive layoffs while the economy adjusted. China does not allow large-scale layoffs, nor unplanned economic reorganization that would interfere with their control and order. Along with the infrastructure, China has funneled money and resources into housing and urban development at a staggering rate. This doesn't sound too bad until you realize the Chinese real estate market operates more like crypto than a way to give people homes. Investors in China, from the wealthy elite to the average employee, have few options to invest their money. Investing abroad is challenging because of capital controls. The Chinese stock market is deeply broken and is too volatile. The state-controlled banks dominate the corporate debt and government bond markets. This left one option: real estate. In the US, investors diversify their money to reduce risk. This just means some wealth is kept in cash, some kept in government bonds, some in corporate debt, some in real estate, and some in the stock market. For every investor in China, nearly all of it had to be in real estate. Empty towers, unfinished projects, demolishing structures every 10 or 20 years, homes paid in full before construction even starts, families pooling resources together to buy more properties they've never seen. These are the outcomes of concentrated financing, excessive industrial capacity, and political controls that prevent market corrections and reallocations. Now COVID lockdowns are causing political unrest, along with the restructuring of international supply chains. China's responses to these issues will determine the future of the nation. While this may look like a textbook example of an economic collapse, there are a lot of variables at play and a lot of decisions that are still to be made. The outcomes vary wildly. I'm defending them in the way that nothing is set in stone, and the future is always uncertain. The future China is facing is on a scale unlike anything ever seen before. The central government has many levers to pull and laws that can be set in place. The biggest danger to China is the government overreacting or overcorrecting. There is no doubt the CCP will respond with both speed and scale to any crisis it may face. However, with the control and power of the party concentrating into fewer hands, their quote-unquote solutions may do more harm than good. Xi Jinping has more power than anyone else in the party's history since Mao Zedong. It is unclear if the people around him are still bringing accurate information or just the information he wants to hear. And if that is the case, something will go wrong eventually, whether that be sooner or later. Despite industrializing faster than any other nation has before, China is now running out of time to become a wealthy, developed nation. The challenges they will be facing would be hard for a developed, wealthy nation, and China still has a large, economically vulnerable population. While centralized governments are great at catching up to other economies because they can copy what has been done before them, they struggle to actually lead in anything. It is likely the government would need to give up control for that to happen, which seems unlikely. If China had time, it'd likely be able to fix these problems, but the clock is running out. The demographics of the country are so messed up, I don't even know where to start. This is China's demographics compared to the United States and India. As you can see, they are aging fast, faster than any nation actually. Some reports state that they overcounted their population by over 100 million people. The male to female ratio is terribly out of balance, and they will likely face a declining population for the rest of the century. And if you wonder what this means, ask Japan how hard it is to grow an economy with a declining population. Add the economic bubbles, the excessive debt levels, and the heavy-handed government on top. The timer may be ticking. Worst of all, China's aggression has made it an enemy of the world. The United States is done with it, and will spend the rest of the century trying to isolate it from the world. China likely has a few years left of relative stability, and where everything goes from there is highly uncertain. Jack Ma gave a speech that got him silenced and stripped of his companies. He said China only does what the world doesn't want to do, that it needed to look towards the future, pioneer new markets, to trial creative solutions, and to be the disruptive innovator. The CCP may silence that, as they did him. What do you believe the future holds for China? Do you see a light at the end of the tunnel, or has the peak been passed? Let me know in the comments below. For more financial news and information, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and keep watching The Daily Dollar.